Hey everybody, Randy Bartlett here with this week's A Minute with Randy Bartlett. And this is a pretty special episode for me. I'm hoping that John Young will let me title this, Don't Be a Dick. And let me explain where that comes from. I had the opportunity a couple of weeks ago to go to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, to go to Armed DJs, which Robbie Britton puts on every year. An amazing small regional conference, but I don't know how he manages to get the people that he does there to speak, but he's done a great job over the years. This year the keynote was delivered by our friend from New Zealand, Richard Mills, our Kiwi boy. So as many of you know, Richard has faced some pretty tough challenges in the last 16, 18 months. He was diagnosed with a glioblastoma, a word I had never heard of before, which is brain cancer. And it is not a survivable diagnosis. The best that one could hope for is to extend a life, and more importantly, for all of us, is to live your best life. And so Richard did a keynote presentation about living your best life. I'm going to take one of the slides from that presentation. I'm going to put it on the screen so you won't be looking at me for part of this. And then we're going to talk about some of the things that he wrote on there. But it was such an inspirational presentation for everybody that was there. Everybody was very touched. Richard is, by all accounts, in the final months of his life. But as he laughingly pointed out, you know, we're all dying, and we don't all know when. And he has at least a better idea than most of us. Last year, I lost one of my dearest friends in the world, a young man, David Sanchez, who was a lifelong friend since he was a little boy and was my DJ on most of my events over the last 20 years. He and Mike Gage, both of them have been amazing to me. And David, with a child under one and another on the way, lost his life tragically and unexpectedly a little over a year ago. So let's take a look at the slide that Richard talked about in living your best life. And the very first one is, tomorrow is not promised. And we know that, right? I mean, that's not news, but it hits home when things like this happen. The second item on the slide was really just powerful. And you can see everybody in the room immediately, you know, jotting this down. Don't be a dick. And by the way, it sounds way better with a Kiwi accent. I wish I could do one. But really that simple, just don't be a dick. You know, when you read through the rest of the advice on there, and it's all pretty good, but I witnessed Richard do this stuff, right? I witnessed him laugh at himself. I saw him and I threw my arms around him and I hugged him, and I was like, when I first saw him there, I said, Richard, man, how you doing? And he looked at me with his great Kiwi accent and that golden voice of his, and he said, well, I have brain cancer, so not that well. How are you? You know, pretty fun. Somebody else there made some comment about him dying here, and Richard said, yeah, me too, but sooner than you. He's keeping a sense of humor throughout all of this, and we take ourselves so seriously. I love the one just below that, which is try it. If you don't like it, don't try it again. At least you'll know. You know, too often we're afraid to step out and try new things, and it's amazing what we can do when we give it a shot. Don't like it, don't do it. Move on with your life, but give it a shot. I love the don't be offended if someone, excuse me, has a different opinion. My God, everybody's offended about everything. I did a minute a couple of weeks ago about being a victim, and everybody's ready to be a victim and be offended. And in fact, there was a presentation at Armed DJs that David Sporn did, and some people got offended and upset, and it was, you know, basically the presentation was, here's how millennials think. And then people got mad hearing how millennials think. And you can disagree with what they think, but you can't get mad at the guy who presents it and says, here's how we think. And, you know, frankly, I listened to it and I said, well, you think stupid. I mean, but I'm not offended that he told us that. I was like, all right, good to know that's your logic in this stuff. But don't be a dick was a big deal. And it became sort of the mantra from everybody at the convention. So when we came back, and there was another story, Nick Logan, who was his buddy, who was on his honeymoon actually. Richard had performed the ceremony as what they call over there the celebrant or officiant over here, and just a couple of days before they left, and Nick and Mandy, beautiful woman, I love her to death, they were on their honeymoon. And Nick introduced Richard, and he told the story that in New Zealand it's become, the last name Mills has become a verb, and it means you just nailed it. You really, whatever it is, it might be you just, you know, you got a great parking spot, or you did a really great mix, or you won the lottery, something you just really do well. And they would say, I Millsed it. And that became sort of the thing that we all talked about is, you know, when you do something really well, you Millsed it. So when we got home, my buddy Mike Anderson and I did a lot of talking about that and you know, just some life things in general. We did a fundraiser for Richard. Sure, Nick wishes he could get some money too, but you got to work for yours still. But we did a fundraiser for Richard through GoFundMe, and so far we've raised over $7,000. I'm going to put the link on here. I hope if you haven't contributed already, you can contribute more. I think sometimes people are a little afraid to contribute because they see large amounts, $100 or $200 or $500 or $300 that people are contributing, and they don't want to, you know, they just don't have that much to spare. But I would tell you that if you can donate $5, and you can, you know that you can, if you can donate $5, certainly the $5 cumulatively will be a big help. I'll talk about that in a second, but more importantly, it really is a way to let them know, this fellow DJ, that we're thinking about him and his family. And the reason that they need the GoFundMe help is that when this hit out of nowhere, suddenly Richard found it very difficult to make a living. He's been extremely fortunate, and in fact this last weekend he DJ'd a couple of events. He doesn't really even have the use of his right arm anymore. He's got some physical limitations, and he had to cut his trip short from the US because he was having some issues and a recurrence of the cancer, which has come, it's very aggressive form, and it's come back strong, and 2 to 6 months is what they are saying is realistic. That was, you know, a couple of weeks ago, but a good percentage of that time has already ticked by, and but he's out there, he's working, he's trying, he's doing all of that stuff. But if you just donate $5 or $10 or whatever you can spare, and if you don't want to put your name on it because it's a small amount, put anonymous. I mean, we have a few of those already. I love those. Those are even probably more powerful than the larger ones. Put a little small donation in there and help him out. They've had to sell their family home this week, and you know how hard it is to move? They're moving this week with all of this going on because they had to sell their home and move to a smaller, more affordable place. So I hope that makes sense and that you can contribute. I know we're way over this week. Sometimes I go a little bit over a minute. This week I knew we'd go over quite a bit. Put those links on there, and I wanted to show you that you may have noticed I'm wearing this sleeveless shirt. There's a reason for that. Mike Anderson and I were so taken by Millsed It, and we were so taken by Don't Be a Dick, it became a hashtag DBAD. So a couple of nights ago, Mike Anderson and I went out. Now Mike is a guy with lots of tattoos and piercings, and you can ask him about the piercings. But he took me to my very first tattoo parlor, and Nick Logan did the first one of these. Nick's just said, Millsed it. And then we added DBAD. Look at the muscles on this guy too. That's 62 years old, man. That's looking good right there. My very first ever tattoo. And you have to understand something. I hate tattoos. I think they're cheesy and stupid. And other than like a cute little dolphin on a girl's ankle, I just think that I've spent my whole life not liking it. But remember the thing where we said, you know, try it. If you don't like it, don't do it again. I tried it. I actually really like it. I'm very encouraged. I'm probably now going to get a couple of others that I've often thought if I ever got a tattoo, it's what I would do. But this is a daily reminder to me to Mills it. I want to be able to say I Millsed that. And it's a daily reminder to me, don't be a dick. That's a lot easier for some than for others. It's a daily struggle for me. So don't be a dick. Contribute a little bit. By the way, a little shout out. You see the shirt on the front? This is my marquee shirt from a couple of years ago. That's happening this week. So by the time you see this, it's going to be too late to go. But support your DJ shows. That supports you. I mean, people are trying to give you information that will help you make money, make you a better person. Listen, those of you who missed Richard's seminar, you missed a phenomenal opportunity to become a better person. So you don't just, you know, coast through life, do these things. I hope that today's Minute with Randy was worth the almost 12 minutes will go when this is done. I hope that it's worth all of that time to you. And go out and do something nice, kind for somebody. Don't be a dick. Somebody cuts you off in traffic. As Richard said, that's their journey, not yours. Let it go. Roll your eyes. Move on with your life. To Richard and his beautiful wife, Tracy, all the best to you. To Nick Logan, who made the trip out here, and Richard's parents were just amazing. My buddy, Sean McKee, Big Daddy, who everybody loves. He's a dick, by the way, and he'll tell you otherwise, but you got to know him behind the scenes. But all those people are giving, and I'm proud to be a part of those. Help us reach our goal of 10,000 for Richard and Tracy this week to get them through the next few months, whatever time they have left. I love everybody, and we'll see you next time.